Good evening, everyone, and welcome to weekend 9 of the Herd Winter Racing Series. Tonight, we have a single lap of the Richmond Rollercoaster route in, surprisingly, Richmond, which will feature a downhill start, followed by reverse 23rd Street, reverse Libby Hill, reverse East Main Street, after which we will get to the reverse sprint banner, and then we'll do a single 5 kilometre lap of the fan flats in reverse. We don't know if any of you can actually hear what we're saying tonight, so if you can, please let us know. I am joined by Stephen Pritchard and Brent Robinson. Craig Martin is behind the cameras. And we may be able to bring you live pictures in the not too distant future. But hopefully you'll be able to see our featured riders before long. I'm following IAN Elston yet again. Brent, who are you following?
I've got Matt Walton.
By a process of elimination, I'm going to speak next, and I'm following Bruce Bottoff. Bruce. I'm following him. He's in 25th in the front group at the moment as we crash down the hill and begin the hilly com. And I think people can actually hear us on YouTube, which is amazing. Whether they can see the same things we see, I don't know. But here we go, crashing into the first climb, and it is just brutal, isn't it, James?
It really is. It's as soon as you hit this climb, you know about it fairly quickly. IAN Elston is in the front group, and I think Matt
Walton's in the front.
There don't appear to be many people not in the front group yet, but that is about to change as we go around this corner, and then the fun and games will begin. Looking at the YouTube stream, we're currently able... Craig, can you follow people?
I see Walton. I'm up there, so yeah, here they go. So, yeah, they're on the 7% big. Matt's doing like 7s-ish. Front's in the mid-6s. So
yeah, Bruce in high 5s and 6s at the moment. A lot of Tron bikes on display. We were saying in the podcast, which is going live shortly, that's the bike to be on, we think, isn't it?
Yeah, Ian Nelson is doing 6 watts kilowatt this climb as well, over 7 now, pushing really, really hard as we see the gradient hit 11%, and this field is fracturing massively.
Yeah, Matt's held the front group. The ATP guys are on the front. He's there. He's sitting at 8th right now.
Meters that are vital, aren't they? We're seeing riders.
Really are. Yep.
You make it into the group ahead of you. A few riders. Bruce overtaking a couple of folks in her jerseys. Haven't spotted their names. I think actually Alan Bray there. Just seeing him go past. Gathering up through the com banner now for Bruce, and he's gone through in a very respectable 1:48.7, sitting 21st. How about your riders, folks?
So Ian's gone over in 1:47, but it looks like, exactly as you were saying, Steve, you have to push over the com banner and then a little bit on afterwards. So Bruce is actually just coming up to Ian now, and it looks like these guys will miss the front group, and they'll probably be very grateful of that in about 5 seconds' time.
Matt's starting reverse KOM now. They're just at the turn, the 22% shot. So he's driving it. He's staying with them, though. I mean, the thing about this hill is that it's short, right? So you just got to, like, basically go all-out sprint power across the top and then hold on. Oh, he's got 5 feathers in front of him. He's going to make it, I think, if he can just find one more surge before these guys pull away on the flat bit, he'll get him. Come on, Matt. One more push, one more push. He's just got to hold these wheels across the top here. They're into the flat bit. He's just falling off. He's going to have to give one more push as they push to try and drop him. He's triggered his draft thing. He is back on. I think he's going to make it. He's on.
So Ian's crept ahead of Bruce, but ideal point to talk to about now. We're 4 minutes into the ride, and probably a good 3 minutes of effort. So it's really the 3-minute power that's going to serve you well tonight, isn't it? It's just this second attempt as we crest Libby now.
And we know that 3-minute Matt is definitely looking forward to 3-minute Matt De Freitas looking forward to this race entirely. He had a little try at it earlier and decided he was going to leave it for another day. So we'll see how 3-minute Matt gets on. Ian Elston is over the top of Liberty Reverse going back down the hill. And if you've done this for forward direction, you'll probably be quite glad for that as well. He's currently in 80th place out of 83 riders. Very fragmented. There is like a mini group just in front of him, which I'm sure he'll be very glad to catch on to. They're 2 seconds in front. It's Bobby Edwards and Andy Kroll out of ATP. There's Jameson, who Ian's with now. They may be able to work together to try and catch this group, but they're going to have another climb before too long.
And Bruce just sitting the next 2 riders on the road behind him. He's actually with Max Szymanski from ATR, so a really strong rider there. He's surprisingly far back, but Max is on, looks like a full disc wheel setup, so interesting difference in choice there. Differing choice in bike there. We know it's a sprint finish. It's very fast at the end on the fan flats, isn't it?
Yeah, it's. I mean, this Cervelo S5 2020 to the Tron is like almost straight across the same in almost any condition. Like they're both within what a second over 40K, something like that. I mean, there's not much to choose between them anymore.
Yeah, really close.
Yeah, so this front group with Matt Walton is settled down here. They're on the flat bit between the Governor Street finish line climb and the downhill after the KOM. So I think they were about 18 deep in this front group. He's right in the front now, so I can't tell, but you know, they're just settling in and getting ready for one more climb. This is the one at race that went at whatever noon my time, 7 I think your guys' time. This third climb actually broke about 10 riders off this same size of group, so there's still damage to be done yet in this course.
We were saying on the Pinktron earlier that Becca was saying especially that she felt the most damage happened on the third climb, just because it was a little bit long.
To this point in the ride, and I'm properly broken by now.
A quick shout out to Craig Martin, just to let him know that sadly we're not seeing what Ian's up to, although it looks like some activity is occurring. Ian is currently 21st wheel. He's with 3 other riders, Bruce Bortoff being one of them, Max Szymanski in there as well. It's just being dropped off the back, so hopefully he'll be able to catch back on this flat section before we start to do East Main Street reverse.
At the front, it looks like a couple of riders have tried to make a little tiny break here before the climb. I'm not sure if that's going to hold. It doesn't feel like it just by watching the power outputs and the stuff. I think it'll come back together for sure when they get to the climb, but a little bit of bravery going on up at the front of the race here.
Some really big numbers coming from Bruce here. He's pushing consistently high 3s into the mid 4s as we go through the little rollers. He's looks like he's properly in time trial mode. He's got his head down. And he's just powering through this section, which is a pretty cool way to ride. So kudos to Bruce here.
And looks like they've dropped IAN Elston off the back of this group, and he's currently sat in 21st place with a gap of 14 seconds to one of the ATP riders behind, who's also on his own, and then there's a group of riders about 18 seconds back, so could come back together, but for now Ian is having a little time trial expedition of his own.
Back up at Matt's group, they're now on the Governor Street climb. That group, the pair that went off the front got to 5 seconds out, so it's now the group chasing the 2 leaders at 5 seconds out up Governor Street. Matt's holding, you know, 3rd, 4th wheel here, doing a good job coming through. I think that's exactly the strategy here, especially early on this climb, is not to go crazy because it gets even steeper once you get past this little flat bit up here. So he's doing a good job just to sit in the group, And then once you get through these barriers here, you're going to want to get ready to really punch it because it even ramps up again and you have to go and hold that group. So hopefully he's got enough. It looks like the next group is going to catch the leaders that had made that breakaway. They're going to get gobbled up, I would guess, by the looks of it. That breakaway hasn't stuck. But yeah, this front group on the climb is pushing 5, so a couple 6s I see up there. So, you know, tough climb. Yeah, there goes the leader breakaway group is now gobbled up. So, that was a bit hopeful.
Deciding to ignore your advice completely there, Brent, and him and Max went hard at the base of the climb. They've had a little breather on the flat section now, and they're both pumping up hard now. High 4s, hitting the odd 5 as they come up this second section of the climb, gapping a couple of riders who are behind them, or them responding down. Looks like Ian's popped. He's low 2s, mid 3s at the moment. James, it looks like Ian's slowly cooked himself.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He might just be waiting for the group of guys just behind him now, 3 seconds back. I know that hills are not necessarily Ian's favourites, but he might have realised that he didn't quite have the power to hang with the stronger guys who are now just in front. So got a group of probably like 4 or 5 riders who are going to come together with him very, very shortly. We're only 15 metres back, so it looks like he'll be having some company relatively shortly.
I think that's a really interesting point you make as well there, James. This is slightly different to the UCI Richmond reverse course in that it's a little bit longer and more of the flat section at the end. So I think kind of if you're a lone rider 5 seconds ahead at the top of this climb and there's a group behind you, I just don't think you're going to stay ahead, are you? So
no, but there's also, if they do catch you on the hill, as they have just done, it might be a bit of a challenge to hang on. But Ian's having a bit of a push now. He's holding mid to high 4s to just stay with these guys. Can see Alan Brazen there as well. So hopefully he can hang on to at least some of these guys as we near the top of this climb. So looking good for Ian. Looks like he should be able to hang on to this group, hopefully. But most of the climbing is now done.
Yep, Matt's made it through the climb. He's into the group, and it's definitely settled right down here at the top of the flats. So I guess it must be like a dozen riders in this front group. So now they're just going to keep those guys away. The next group is only 10 seconds behind, which is closer when I did this race. Oh, it's only one guy though. When I did this race earlier, we had one guy, but he was almost 30 seconds back of us. But there was 2 attacks that went off the front on this flat bit. Noah Balch kept it away. He went off the front and won it. And then 2 chasers went after him. I can't remember, Boardman and Flores? Or Listen. Yeah. They went off and chased him. And then it was scorekeeper chased Balch and Listen, and me, Boardman, Cam St. Pierre, and Flores were content to let them go chase, and we sat in, and I lost the sprint. I mean, I knew I was going to lose, but I actually went chasing after scorekeeper and Listen with about 2 kilometers to go and dragged the rest of them to the finish line. Say
I love your panache there. That's a panache move for sure.
So, in Ian's group, we've got Dean Peddle and Alan Bray. 2 of the guys who were in the group behind just flew through, doing about 5 watts a kilo, and they've pulled out a little bit of a gap now. I think about 9 seconds. And these guys don't seem to be particularly intent on chasing them, given they went through it like 5 watts a kilo. So, a little bit of funny wattage going on there with Ian. His watts dropped down to about 50 and then came back up again. So that looks to be okay. We have about 8k to go, and it's pretty much flat from here.
Yeah, that rider that Go ahead. I was going to say that rider who was 9 seconds back, El Gasperlo, came through the pack and went right to the front and put 1 second, 2 seconds onto the pack right off the front, riding about 5. So whoever that is was obviously saving his fuel for later in the race. Oh, here goes a chase. The the bridge is coming up to that breakaway. Oh, let's see if Matt can respond. Here goes the bridge. They're all going. They're going. Come on, Matt. You're gonna have to go with them. Here they go. Wow, this is actually quite the move on the flat with this far out to go. Like, these guys are doing 600 watts to chase this thing down. And they're pedaling. Good. It looks like, oh, they've closed it down. Nice work by the chasing group to bridge up and catch that guy. So we'll have to keep our eye on this Gasperlow character as he comes through here, who, you know, was 9 seconds back after the climb and then pedaled 5 watts per kilo on the flats to come blasting through the group.
Wow. Right, back to Ian. Back to Ian. He's got his group of 6 now, 7 riders, and they all seem to be relatively content to hang on to. Definitely not a hard pace. Looks to be around about 3 watts a kilo average. And I suspect these guys will ride around together to the finish before having a good old sprint. And Ian's definitely got a sprint on him, so hopefully he'll come out of that quite nicely. How's Bruce doing, Steve?
Yeah, working well with Max in 18th and 19th, so that'll be an interesting ride with them. There's a couple of riders up the road, which they look at 13 seconds ahead, although there's a chap who's now riding consistently at 5.5 or 6 watts per kilogram, which, you know, my views on people who ride that way on Swift, especially later in the race, should we say. I think that's interesting what happened up at the front group, though, isn't it? That, and I think this is an effect we're definitely seeing more of with the new pack dynamics, is that it's much easier passing through groups. That's what I found, certainly in the TTT, when before you pass the odd sort of stray rider and you could often get sticky watts and get stuck with people. Actually, you don't have to be going that much faster to fly through people at the moment. So I wonder if that was a bit of a slingshot effect we saw caused by the new pack dynamics. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, it could be. And certainly the 2 guys that went through this group seemed to go through very easily and then created a significant gap quite quickly. I think that's
For what it's worth, they've gone again. So Gasperlow and Jay Chris from ATP. I don't know who Jay Chris is from ATP, but they've attacked again and put another 3 seconds back into the group, and the group is responding to the attack and bridging back up again. Matt's holding into the bridge group, but they're you can definitely see that these front 2 guys want to like break people on this flat bit. They're not going to be content to just sit there and let this pack roll around to the sprint. They're going to put it on. I don't know if this breaks.
Sighting a sprint finish now. We're coming through the cobbled section to what will be the sprint later on. And they're just sort of not soft pedaling, they're working at 4 watts per kilogram, but they're pedaling through, still working nicely. How's Ian getting on, James?
Yeah, he's doing well. Still in this group, hanging around like fairly high 2s. Looks like we're all having a lovely little social ride round the final kilometres of this route. They are just coming up to the sprint banner, which will signify the end of what I think is probably the longest lead in Zwift, around about 12 kilometres. And then they'll have 5k to go. It looks for a moment like Ian might have been dropping off and these guys might have been ramping up for a little sprint, but I think we've all realised that they still have 5k to go. And there are no points for winning the sprint. And they are all together. Sorry, go on, Brent.
Is it the breakaway is put in up to 8 seconds now, so you know the chase has decided to call it off, and they let those 2 guys go at the front. They've either checked their figures or just felt it. But those two off the front, to be fair, are 5.3 and 5.0 20-minute riders, so they're no slouches. They're not doing anything they haven't done before.
Yeah, we saw earlier, I think Noah held about 4.8 for the race, and he's got a 5.2 best 20 minutes, which is quite useful, I would say. But just back to Ian, all is as it was. These 6-7 guys are all together still, with... Oh, who was I going to say? Alan Bray's in there. Dean Peddle was. I can't see him at the moment. Ian looks like he's pushing down a few watts at the moment as well, holding down 3.5. I think we may have lost Dean Pedal. I'm not. Oh no, there he is. Okay, all good. Dean Pedal and Adam Bray are both with Ian still. So nice herd group. Probably about 4.5 to go now, so not too far. Steve.
Yeah, so Bruce and Max still working together nicely, but it's given me time to have mad ideas about bikes. Given how spread out the field is and how split off people are, what are the virtues in riding a time trial bike on this course, James?
I would say done.
Yeah, concur.
It's an awful lot of flat. It's an awful lot of time on your own. It's just interesting. I'm actually more leaning towards the choice here being possibly best aero bike on this course, just seeing just how much flat there is at the end, and the value in kind of a lot of people doing what looked like quite time trial-y efforts. So yeah, interesting. But yeah, Bruce and Max working together nicely, sharing a bit on the front. With each, I don't think they're going to catch the chaps ahead of them. I don't think they're going to be caught by the folks behind them. So it'll be interesting to see them sprint to the end. But Brent, how close? Speaking of which, how close are we to the end?
They're at 15.2, so we got 2K, 17.4 for the finish. So yeah, it's very. The breakaway has gone, so the front two will definitely win. They've put it up. Matt hasn't been close enough to the front for me to get the split, but it's got to be 20 seconds now. So the front two are gone, and Matt's in this group, and they're just waiting for the sprint finish at this point. You know, it's very pedestrian pace in this second group. So I got to say though, if you were on a TT bike, I don't think you'd be in the front group to the bottom of the first hill. I think you'd be done. Oh, one more attack. Here goes another attack off the front now. Pinfold. And some of the ATP friends have gone. Oh, Matt's responding. Matt's responding to the breakaway. Come on, Matt, get up there. Get up there, get up there, get up there. Oh, looks like it's going to be about 4 or 5. Can't tell if they're going to break it open, though, or not. Oh, now he's coming off the back. It's close, it's close. All right, I think he's on the back of this break. It hasn't, I don't think it's broken anyone, but it definitely has strung it right out now. So with 1.4K to go, they've strung it out. It's a straight line. There's no more bunch here as this second group goes around. And Matt is holding it. Oh, he's dropping to like 100 watts. I'm just curious if that didn't break him in half.
So, quickly back to Ian. He's coming up to the 15K mark, so just over 2.5 to go. Still got Dean Pedal and Alan Bray in here. Just gone over a little bit of rise, so the group's just stretched a little bit, but it looks like it's all coming back together yet again.
We can see the banner on mine now, so
go.
Matt's got his truck. He's probably pulled his truck a little bit early, and it looks like he's just going to be holding on. Here come the big watt sprinters. They're past the green line, and it looks like Matt is in hold on mode here. I feel that, Matt. That was exactly how my race finished too. He's going to come in here with 11th. That's a heck of a good race. Well done, Matt.
Yeah, fantastic race, Matt. 11th is a seriously good position to finish
that was
it.
a super strong group at the front, definitely.
Bruce looked to have put a bit of a dig in against Max, but I think that was just a bit of weirdness happening. Max is just sat on his wheel as we come up towards the final left-hand turn before we hit the roundabout, heading the sprint finish. They're still riding very gently. They're still not going to be caught behind the group behind them. They're still not going to catch the group ahead of them, but looks like we're going into a bit of a two-up sprint now. Max is just edging ahead. Well, they're both upping. Bruce is upping his watts. Max is very wisely dropping his routes out. I would just be sitting on the wheel at this point. Wouldn't want to be the first to go in the sprint, which looks like what Max is doing. They're just coming around the roundabout now as we speak, and this is we reckon about 400 meters to go at this point. So if you've got a really good long sprint, this is possibly your cue to go. They're still kind of holding the watts fairly steady at the moment, waiting for one of them to drop it and go. Be interesting to call it. Max obviously at a disadvantage as he isn't on a pink Tron. Looks like they're rocking the watts. Max has hit his aero helmet and he's off on the sprint. It starts. They're hitting 9s watts per kilogram. Bruce has dropped an aero hat as well, and I think that's even better timed. He's going to come through. That's beautifully timed, that sprint, and he's going to take it on the line. I'm calling it already. He's taken that. That was a beautiful sprint. Much better use, just slightly much better. He timed his aero helmet just slightly better. He used Max as a lead out and won the sprint. Great riding, Bruce.
So Ian's group is not too far away at all. They are just coming up to a roundabout before which they will see the sprint and the finish line banner. Got a group of 7. I quite fancy Ian here because he's definitely got his 15-second watts are very good. Round the roundabout we go. We can see the finish line. We'll shortly be coming up to the green line that shows the start of the sprint segment. Ian's already, well, he was holding 400 watts. He's now dropped it down again because no one's gone just yet. Can see a couple of the ATP riders going early. Ian's up to 950, 1,000 watts, 1,020 watts, pushing really, really hard. Got a solo rider just in front, and he's got Ding Pedal just in front, and he's trying to catch on to him, and Alan Bray just goes past him as well, and Ian finished in a position. I didn't see what it was, but it was definitely a position.
Good news is that wasn't purely described by you, James, which was as chaotic as the sprint sounded, but we were able to get some pictures up on YouTube as well, so it looks like Ian finished in 24th in the...
Super. Well done, Ian, and very glad that we actually did have some pictures of Ian. I'm going to say goodnight. Thanks very much for joining us. We're not entirely sure if Craig is still awake with his severe jet lag, but I will say goodnight to Stephen Pritchard and Brent Robinson.
Good night, folks.
And if Steve is asleep, this stream may never end, so...
I'm Steve. Yeah, I think you're talking about Craig. No?
I am talking about Craig. I apologise, Steve.
That's fine. Thank you, Brent.
I don't have jet lag, but I am tired.
Genuinely think Craig has fallen.
I really think he has. I'm going to see if I can actually stop the stream. Oh, you are here.
Hello, Craig.
You might want to stop it now, though. I've stopped it now, Craig.